It is time for your daily dose of DragonFaether! Merry meet and welcome back to the channel. My name is Azura DragonFaether, the Draconic Priestess, and I will be your host for today. We are going to talk about how you earn Dragon Guardians. This is a very highly requested video topic, as I will be sharing the story time of how I earned my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips. For those of you guys who do not know, Pickle Chips is a celestial Dragon Guardian that I work with in my practice, and I would consider them a primary Dragon Guardian because I work with them pretty much every day. So this is just a nickname. Pickle Chips is just a nickname that I use here on my YouTube channel and in public and online because I will not be sharing the real name of my dragons with you guys. That is silly. So if you guys are excited to learn about how you can earn a Dragon Guardian and a little bit about how I earned my Dragon Guardian, make sure to leave a like on the video, make sure to tap that screen, and welcome for your daily dose of DragonFaether. Hi Archdragon, and for Castles and Coffee, welcome to your daily dose of DragonFaether. And Jaren OP Hales, yeah, welcome back to your daily dose of DragonFaether. Welcome Christina and Liz to your daily dose of DragonFaether. I will be drinking some tea per usual, it's what we do. Welcome Red Tide to your daily dose of DragonFaether. Welcome Candy and Taylor. We're so excited to see you guys here today. I am very excited to get right on into it, okay? So I hope you guys love dragons, because today is all about dragons. Shout out to Pickle Chips, okay? He's sitting here on, not Pickle Chips, sorry. Wow. Shout out to Potat back here, okay? This is our channel mascot. Don't forget to subscribe for Potat, all right? If you love Potat, you're gonna wanna subscribe. So do not forget, my darlings. Do not forget, he's sitting here on another dragon's head, funny enough. My poor phones are really just doing the best that they can today. So hopefully they do not die because they're just being very moody. So Belgium Blur, welcome to your daily dose of DragonFaether. So what are you doing? Landed here kind of early. Oh, randomly. Oh, okay, we're sharing a little story time, my darlings, of how I met my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips, or how I earned this Dragon Guardian, okay? So let's just do a little disclaimer to begin with. For those of you guys who don't know what a Dragon Guardian is, my name is Azura DragonFaether, the Draconic Priestess. I've been working with dragon spirits for 20 plus years, if not arguably longer. Thank you guys for liking the live. You guys are so sweet. And this is a type of spirit that dragon witches or draconic Wiccans or even draconians will work with within their spiritual practice. So this is simply a video on how you can sometimes earn a Dragon Guardian within your craft. There are many different kinds of, Dragon Guardians, right? There's ones that are with you for life, there's ones that only help you with magic, there's ones that might never ever introduce themselves to you but simply are there to watch over you, etc., etc. So today we are going to be talking about how you might earn one, and this is something that I had no idea about when I was younger, because chances are when you earn a Dragon Guardian, it takes many years of you constantly leveling up yourself, constantly improving upon yourself, making better decisions for you, making better decisions for your family, for your lifestyle, and just keeping better people around you, and not partaking in, not doing things that are here to harm you. Do you think that there are fungal dragons? Yes, there are. They're called mushroom dragons, or they're called fun guys. What's this about? We're talking about dragons today. So I hope you guys are as excited to learn a little bit more about dragons today, okay? We absolutely love them so much. So cheers, my friends. Azura Frost, I love your name. My name's Azura, so we love that, and we also love the frost dragons. So let me tell you guys a little bit about, how, some people, well, actually it's a really big trend, right? When you talk to dragon witches, or you talk to people who work with dragon spirits or have a connection with the dragons or dragon kind or with the dragon realms and their energy, you will likely find that many of these practitioners, many of these people will have a similar story of always being connected with the dragons ever since they were little. So this is something that I think is really fascinating and has always fascinated me, simply because I personally, my connection with Pickle Chips, when I first ended up like consciously connecting with them and they actually decided to start speaking with me and working with me, this is something that happened way after I basically passed these tests I didn't know that I had. And Pickle Chips told me that from my entire lifetime, Pickle has been watching over me, okay? So just gonna remind everybody, Pickle Chips is a name that I use online. This Dragon Guardian has a different name that I have earned in my own private practice with them, but I refer to them as Pickle Chips here on the channel simply because it's a little funny, easy to understand, makes them less intimidating and more relatable, as that's what they said. This is what they said. Oh no, so sad. My phones are really having a hard time. Really having a hard time today, so sorry about that, YouTube. We just lost you for a second. There we go, hold on. There we go, okay. So here's how it all began, right? So first of all, when we embark on a path of dragon magic, when we work with the dragon guardians, the biggest, most absolute, like, key factor to working with the dragons is self-improvement, okay? So with people who have never, you know, people who claim that their dragon guardians are there to keep them comfort and in their comfort zone, that is kind of a red flag to not really working with dragons, okay? So we have to understand that the main point of dragons, and when you look at dragons throughout history, you look at their mythology, and you look at their symbolism, it's always one of transformation, of wisdom, of power, of, of fortune and favor, things like that. These are the things that we really must keep in the back of our minds when we're working with dragons and when we're pursuing the path of the dragon, or when we're working with dragon magic, right? So I want everybody to understand one thing and one thing alone. My path in my practice has always been for regulating my nervous system. I was severely abused within the Mormon church when I was raised as a kid. This really set the scene for my life path and my practice within witchcraft and magic, and basically my pursuit of learning about other religions, faiths, and spiritualities throughout the entire world, through my whole entire life. And the way that I originally found out that all of these, you know, myths and, you know, legends and lore were all around the world started when I was a little girl with this book, okay? So I know that this is literally hilarious to some of you guys. This is a children's book, okay? But there is a page on here that I'll show you that has all of the maps, okay? We have all the maps in here. Map of the world, and it shows you where all the different types of dragons are throughout the world. And while this is a kid's book, my darlings, okay? While this is a kid's book, what it does tell you is that there are dragons all over the world. And this is true to this day, okay? So when you look about dragon mythology throughout anywhere, go ahead, go to your Google machine, type in dragon myths and insert any country, any landmass, any type of religion, any type of culture of people, and you will absolutely come up with some dragon myths. And this was my portal into learning that the world is entirely connected in ways that we might never have known without studying the dragons. And this is something that I have always been fascinated with ever since I was a little kid. So I think everybody needs to keep an open mind and an open heart when they are working with dragons, because ultimately the number one thing that matters the most is, drumroll please, you guessed it, having faith within the dragons. And this is true for any religion, any spiritual practice, or any faith-based system in the world. It is something that is uniquely human. We create religions, we create spiritual practices, we create belief systems in the unseen, and it is a very human thing to do. So this is something that we love to focus on here on this channel, and we welcome people from all paths and all practices, as long as you're polite of people who might be different than you. So I had no idea there were Polish dragons, smak whiskey, yes, exactly, for castles and coffee. It's really crazy. You are going to find so many magical things, like in the most like literal, what's the word? In the most literal remote of places. You would be very, very fascinated to find out. Yeah, the chat's not going to be respectful on YouTube. It never is. So please take that with a grain of salt. Thank you, Rebel Child. Yay, we got a mod in the chat. Here we go. So let's jump on into it. How do you earn a Dragon Guardian? What even is a Dragon Guardian? How does this begin? What is this lady rambling about? I got you. You guys have tons of questions. Totally happy to help. So the way that this started is that you guys have to understand that many people who practice any sort of spiritual faith, any sort of religion, or have any sort of belief in the unknown or unseen, 9 times out of 10, these belief systems are to fortify the spirit. They are food for the soul, if you will, in the sense that they are entirely for the safety and the life experience and the health of the practitioner, right? It is for their nervous systems, for their mind, their mentalities, and sometimes people will use it to hurt other people, but that's not what we're talking about in today's stream. We're talking about how people use their spiritual practices, their beliefs in things that might seem silly in order to elevate their lifestyles, in order to help them overcome really harsh obstacles in their lives. And this is absolutely what I have, utilized the dragons for within my practice and leaned on them for, because had I not done so, I would not be here today. Following the dragons has been the only thing that has helped me escape abuse, that has helped me have faith in myself, and has helped me believe that I have the power to create my own reality and say no to the people who said I could not. So this is where ultimately this journey began for me. It was questioning the Mormon church. It was questioning why wasn't there a goddess? It was questioning, why am I worshiping a man? It was questioning, why is there a Trinity? I don't understand the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I just didn't. And this journey happened when I was like 4, 5, and 6, right? Maybe a little bit earlier than that too, when I was 3. Because that's really when my questions really started happening. Because I, growing up in a really like harsh religious environment, like, you guys have to understand that this is really not healthy for a child. It's not good for their brains, it's not good for their developing bodies, and it hurts their nervous systems, right? And so naturally when this happens, you're going to find people are very, very eager to find something else if they've been abused in this, right? So this was my story, and I do fall under this statistic, which is why I will be mentioning it as we go forward, because I think it is an important factor to remember in my story, as well as an important factor to remember in many of our stories, correct? So it's all about having a little bit of, it's having, like respect and compassion for people's stories, because everybody has a different story, right? So when I left the Mormon church, this was step 1. This was the first thing that my guardian Pickle Chips wanted me to accomplish on my own, without the help of anyone but my own faith, my own heart, my own soul. And walking away from the Mormon church when I was a little girl, saying no more, I don't want this in my life. I was around 11, 12, I believe, when I walked away from the Mormon church. Yes, I love the Quran. We love the Quran on this channel. And this is something that I really truly struggled with, because my love for God never left me, and I've always been very, very vocal about this here on my channel. I've always been an advocate saying I'm a witch who believes in God, I'm a witch who loves God, I'm a witch who worships God, and this has always been my story. You can go literally watch my oldest videos if you like. You can hear me talk about it when I was a little girl. And this is something that, again, was step 2 that I didn't realize was such a huge part of this test for me to earn my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips. And it was never relinquishing my faith in God. And why would a Dragon Guardian care about a witch believing in God? Well, I'm gonna tell you, the only reason is because the Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips and any Dragon Guardian you work with is gonna know what's best for you in your practice. They're going to be able to see you in a different way that we can't comprehend here on Earth as human beings. Pickle Chips shows me a vision of a clock when he looks at me in my life, and he says that the different choices that I make, the different points in my life, are like the different times on the clock, where I see myself only minute by minute, but he can see me through the entire wheel of time. This is the way that my Dragon Guardian speaks to me, right? And has kind of given me the vision of how the dragons perceive us as human beings. And this obviously came way later after I earned this Dragon Guardian. But this is how Pickle Chips has been watching me over my entire lifetime. And this is just, again, my story. Like, I'm not here saying that this is what's true for you. This is what's true for me, and I am choosing to share it with you because my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips wanted me to, and that's literally it. So, like, you are more than welcome to have any opinion you'd like. You are more than welcome. Yes, there's only one God named Allah in my practice too. Thank you so much, my friend. Is Pickle Chips a Pokemon? I love that so much. That's so cute. Yes, that would be so funny, wouldn't it? That would be so funny, right? I kind of feel like, you know, like animals are Pokemon. Like, look at a cat. Like, that is a Pokemon, okay? But I digress. I digress. We don't worship dragons on this channel. I know that that's a, I know that that might surprise a lot of people who, you know, aren't familiar with like dragon witches and dragon magic. It's actually quite rare for practitioners to worship the dragons that they work with, though it's not uncommon. It is just something that most people will trend towards not worshiping the dragons. They work with them in ways like symbolically, they'll work with them in meditations, through visualizations, through visual journeys. Like, it's very, very different than, say, somebody who might work with Hecate, or somebody who might work with like the pantheon of Norse gods, if you will. So everybody's a little bit different, and that's kind of what makes dragon magic a little bit special and a little bit different, right? So this is step number 1, was relinquishing my faith in the Mormon church. Step 2 was not relinquishing my faith in God in that process, right? So this is something that truly set the stage for me to be able to deep dive back into my connection with dragons. While I was a little girl, as I mentioned, being in the Mormon church, I very much played with my dragons when I was very young as I could remember, like 2, maybe 1 years old. Always had these imaginary friends that I would transform into dragons and run around on all 4s and pretend I was blowing fire in the air and yada yada yada. Of course, part of this was just my childhood imagination, correct? But a lot of it had to do with how dragons and dragon symbolism and the images of dragons always made me feel safe as a little girl. That is totally valid, and you might have a similar story. However, when I was working with these dragons when I was little and playing with them as a little kid, it really scared the adults that I was around. And so for that reason, they told me that they were imaginary friends and I should grow up out of it, and I was shamed for having this very overactive imagination, as they would say. So when I went to the church, over time, it was slowly beaten out of me. When I had questions, I was hit on the wrist with a ruler, told not to question our Lord. And this really traumatized my nervous system as a little girl because I had so many questions, okay? Like, I had so many questions about the church and about, you know, why do we call Jesus Christ God, but Jesus Christ himself calls God the Father. It really confused me as a little girl. I simply had questions, and when I asked them, as any child would, trying to comprehend something, it was very cruel that they abused me in this part. You know, it was very, very cruel. It's live! Yay! Welcome to Vintage System. So good to see you. So good to see you. Yes, the church did hurt me, because you have to understand that the church is an organization of people. It was God who didn't hurt me, okay? It was God who didn't hurt me. And that's something that my Dragon Guardian Monte, which is an angel dragon that we're not going to talk too much about in this video, is one that reminded me ever since I was a little kid. That Dragon Guardian is my first dragon that I ever had. So moving through my life, finding witchcraft and discovering magic was real was truly the next step, truly the next hurdle, the next dragon trial I had to go through in order to earn my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips. And this series of dragon trials, which I will explain what a dragon trial is as soon as I finish this sentence, this series of dragon trials that I went through from since I was a little girl all the way up until last year, because I met my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips last year, all of these things that I accomplished, all of these things that I, went through and overcame, these obstacles, these traumas, these trials and tribulations, this ultimately set the scene of Pickle Chips deeming me worthy to work with him. And some dragons will be like this. Some dragons will literally just watch you to see if you are even worthy enough for them to show themselves. And this is kind of what my story time today is really to illustrate, is that some dragon guardians we are born with, some dragon guardians literally just pass through, some dragon guardians never show themselves, but some of them you absolutely have to earn. And the reason why is because the path of the dragon and working with dragon guardians is always about self-evolution and becoming a better human being. It's always about looking at your darkness, looking at the parts of yourself that are hard to witness, that you wish didn't exist, the parts of yourself that you reject, that you neglect, that you may even hate. This is why we work with dragons, is to, does he accept the name Pickle Chips? No, he named himself, okay? He chose the name Pickle Chips. That's funny. No. My dear darlings, if you are here to, if you're here to just, be leaving some mean things, that's not what we do here, okay? We love God on this channel, so just to get that out there, like, people please, like, relax, like, telling people that they're sinners and stuff is religious abuse. So just so you know, you're abusing people online. I hope you know that, and I hope that you repent for your sins. So moving along, when we ended up, wanting to discover if magic was real, I did not know. You know what I mean? Was it real? Was it not real? I had no idea. I had started this YouTube channel here in 2012 to find out the truth. Was magic real? I didn't know, because all of the channels at the time that I found on YouTube were few and far between, and some were really not that helpful. So I absolutely had to discover for myself, if that makes sense. Hi, Krista Marie. Welcome to your daily dose of DragonFaether, my dude. So that's kind of like the whole entire point, right? It's all about, what's the word? It's all about seeing what was actually going on here. And then I started deep diving into magical traditions all over the world. Paganism, right? What was paganism? I didn't know. So I ended up learning through the internet, and eventually I got some books on it, and this started my discovery of, or started my study of, world religion in a more intentional way, right? The whole entire point is that when you look throughout history all over the world, pretty much every single group of people will have their own flavor or form, tradition of magic, witchcraft, something like that, right, along their history, which I think is fascinating. Some people like to take it to the extreme and call everybody evil people, and I just think that's not peaceful. That's not spreading love, that's not spreading peace, that's not a good deed, right? We focus on doing good deeds here, and a good deed is talking about every kind of person and talking about how everybody comes from a different walk of life and holding space for that. What do you believe in? I would love to know. Right? So we don't shame people for their beliefs here on the channel. We like to be curious and we like to learn about it. And the second that you guys become rude, or the second that you guys, try and tell people that they're wrong, or trying to religiously abuse people, that's when we say, you lost the plot. So that is pretty much, that's pretty much how it goes in that particular department. And over time, I realized through trial and error that magic was real. And I had many doubts, because I was very young, right? Very, very young when I was exploring magic and witchcraft. I was about 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 when I was really discovering it and really learning about different traditions throughout the world, learning about, how it's different in, what's the word? different in Europe, and how, you know, like China has their own traditions and Russia has their own traditions, how, you know, Native Americans had their own traditions that might be considered witchcraft, or how, like, you know, South America has their own traditions, etc. Everybody has their own way of believing, and that is something that absolutely fascinated me, and I just wanted to learn more. I think human beings are so incredibly cool with how they believe in things that don't exist, that you can't prove don't exist, right? So it's so fascinating to me, and something that I just could not stop learning about. So this was big trial number 3, right? Dragon trials. Let's have a talk about it, because what are dragon potat? Yes, we have potat here. Everybody leave a like for potat. Potat, 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 potat. Tap the screen for potat. Potat, potat. So we have to understand that the best part of this life is discovering who you are and learning about your faith and learning about other people and connecting with other people who are like you. This is truly the best part of this life, and truly sharing your faith with other people, I have discovered, has been the most rewarding, the most beautiful, the most, the most fulfilling part of my life journey, right? So, potat! Yes, thank you for castles and coffee. We are hanging out with the potat potato. But yes. But basically, a dragon trial, let's talk about it. So a dragon trial, as dragon witches will define it, or pretty much anybody who walks a path with dragons, doesn't matter how they identify, if they work with dragons of any kind, they're probably gonna have their own kind of experience of what a dragon trial is. And so a dragon trial is something that a dragon guardian will put you through, a test. It's usually something that is akin to a riddle. Sometimes it literally is a riddle, right? So like dragons are known for their riddles. Dragons are known for their cryptic way of speaking, their cryptic way of, you know, presenting challenges, right, to the traditionally protagonist in like media, for example. But within mythology, you will see that the dragons often symbolized a giant obstacle for, you know, a positive or a, I guess, like holy force to conquer, right? But also, the further back that you go in history and mythology, you'll realize that the dragons were genuinely the personifications of the forces of nature, the forces of chaos, of creation. They were the personifications of the earth, of the weather, of just different celestial bodies, right? It's very quite fascinating. And the more that you really look into it, the more that you would see that it kind of seems like humans are personifying their fears, the unknown, and perhaps the forces that they struggle to understand as dragons, which I think is also really incredibly fascinating. So a dragon trial is essentially a test that you're put through. It's a life test. Sometimes a dragon trial can be as simple as choosing to, you know, believe something different, but sometimes a dragon trial can take place over many, many years. For me, one dragon trial that took place over many, many years was breaking my addictions to drugs. I had a lot of inner demons that I took with me when I was severely abused growing up. And because of the abuse that I faced in the church, it basically groomed me to accept abuse from any relationship that was interpersonal moving forward. And I truly had to work over a decade, if not more than that, to if not like more decades, right? So like maybe 20 years, right? To overcome this struggle, right? Like I had to literally constantly choose to lift myself up. And choosing to lift myself up instead of tearing myself down, choosing to be like, no more drugs, no more pills, no more lines, I'm done, you disgusting piece of shit. I had to tell myself this. This was one of my dragon trials, correct? So not only this, but coming to accept who I am as a girl who follows her dragons and as a girl who loves God, and not changing myself for anyone, because my path ultimately doesn't harm anyone. And this is something that I've always preached on this channel, because originally when I left the Mormon church, I was atheist. I did not believe in anything. I was like, fuck this shit. it, right? But then over time, I started to believe in Father Sky and Mother Earth. And then this slowly started my curiosity of finding my way back to Allah eventually. But I digress, right? So we're getting to that part. So the best part of my journey has always been and always will be having faith in my dragons, and no one can take this away from me. I don't care how much people want to hate me in the comment section. Please, thank you for the engagement, because the whole entire point of working with dragons for me was a matter of survival, and that will never be wrong, because had it not been for my courage that I gained through, you know, learning about the myths of dragons, learning about how dragons were guardians, fierce, loyal defenders, how they were ones that it scared the hearts of men, so strong that even men trembled in their armor when they faced the dragons. This brought me much safety when I was a young girl, because I had faced so many monstrous men, right? So this is something that gave me refuge when I had no idea where else to go. And over time, I received a lot of hate and a lot of criticism, and I got bullied a lot in school for my beliefs in the dragons. And I got, you know, people would, you know, even hurt me, right? Like they would splash water on me, they would pull my hair, really just awful things, right? Kids are terrible sometimes, but you guys have to realize that this really challenged me and my faith with the dragons, and really challenged my faith in my magic. But every single time that I, you know, was bullied for this and told I was going to hell and told all of these horrible things that you should never tell a human being, it's genuinely religious abuse, right? I ended up coming home and I sat at my altars and I talked with my dragons. And some people might argue that they were never there, and sure, maybe they were not there, but I believed in them, and that's what makes them real. And this is kind of the point of, you know, working with dragon magic. You will never know. You will never know a dragon, you will never see a dragon unless you believe they are real. And this is the truth with any religion, with any sort of spiritual practice, with any sort of faith-based anything, right? Like, it's not going to be real for you unless you believe it is. And I don't really care who says what, right? Like, depending on what you believe in, depending on what you experience, depending on the context of your upbringing, the context of, you know, the abuse that you faced, all of these things add into how your brain processes reality, how your brain is wired to believe, and that is valid, right? So, cheers, we're gonna take some tea. Not long after I started my YouTube channel, I started dating men. Yeah, that was the biggest mistake ever. So I should never have been in a relationship at 13 years old with a man, but I was. And by a man, I mean like another kid my age, right? So we had a long distance relationship. For those of you guys who've been watching the channel for a long time, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. Our parents facilitated our relationship when we were minors, and in hindsight, that shit was fucking gross. That should have never happened. And shout out to my dad for being the only sane adult present, saying that it shouldn't have been a thing, but everybody hated on him. It was terrible. It was just, so sad, so sad. But you guys have to understand that this particular relationship that I had was very abusive, because it's just like, that's kind of like how it happened, right? Like, you know, I'm sorry guys, I know the chat is just really bad on YouTube right now. No! Okay, hold on. Let me just help everybody out over here. DragonFaether. No, exactly! DragonFaether's the best, brother. Yeah, so many trolls here for sure. Sorry about that. I'm just going to, you know, hide the trolls. We have a lot of absolutely horrible people over here. Which is fine, you know what I mean? Super fine. Oh, thank you guys thank you guys. But anyway, yeah, because like if you guys can't be like nice, like you guys aren't even practicing your like Abrahamic religions properly. Like you guys aren't supposed to be hating on me. You guys are supposed to be spreading love and peace. Like, don't you guys understand your religion? Don't you guys understand your religions? No, you don't. Otherwise, you wouldn't be on some girl's stream just being rude, absolute rude. So anyway, as we continue, I don't know, as far as I can tell, they are all spirits and thought forms. So, thought forms now, so it would be knowledge and magic that they hoard. Yes, you are correct. They also hoard language too, right? Anyway, my darlings, I don't know why this poor phone is struggling so much. I think if we just unplug it, it'll have a better time. There we go. There we go. Let's try that. Okay, thank you, Rebel Child. You are so sweet for helping today. And yeah, for everybody who's like in the chat just trying to enjoy the stream and is very annoyed by all the hate, please, my darlings, please know that what they say has absolutely nothing, okay? It means nothing, all right? We don't care on this channel about the Christian hate. Ain't no love like Christian hate. Krista and For Castles and Coffee, you guys are so right about that. But anyway, so shortly after I discovered magic was real, I ended up entering relationships way too early, okay? I love you, Avalon. Thank you for tuning in. Cool Lamp, thank you. So the thing is that in this relationship in particular, I was very, very abused, unfortunately, in like a sexual way. I was very sexually abused in this relationship, and I'm not really interested in opening up more than that in this stream. But part of my dragon trial to earn Pickle Chips was literally realizing that I was worth more. I deserved more than this individual could offer me, and I didn't deserve to be cheated on. I didn't deserve to be treated anything less than an absolute angel, because that is what I deserve, right? So I ended up breaking up with this person when I was 16. And then I ended up entering a rebound relationship where I started my history of drug abuse. This was peer pressured. I was peer pressured into doing drugs in this relationship multiple times, and unfortunately was unable to be strong enough to say no. When do men not sexually abuse is the question. Krista, you are so real for that. So this is something that I really truly struggled with, because it's one thing to, you know, enter into a bad relationship and leave. It's another thing to enter into a bad relationship, pick up an addiction, and then leave, right? Pickle Chips is real for that. Pickle Chips is feminist, confirmed? Absolutely. Pickle Chips hates men for the most part. Not in the sense that, like, men are trash, but in the sense that, like, you lose all respect from Pickle if you're abusive to women. Because it's just not necessary, right? Like, Pickle Chips tells me that, you know, women are way more powerful than a lot of men can even handle the discussion of, actually. So it's actually really sad, you know, it's really, really sad. I love Pickle Chips. Ayy. I don't know, man. People are really, really just awful in my lives for absolutely no reason. Like, there's just no reason. People are so fucking gone. Like, there's so many people who are just absolutely just broken in the brain, you know what I mean? People like just love to hate for no reason, which I digress, right? But leaving this other abusive relationship was abusive in a different way, mostly through the drugs, right? And there was a lot of, you know, assault that happened in this relationship too, and ultimately it was very scary escaping this relationship. It nearly cost me my life. After I left this relationship, I was stalked pretty excessively, getting notes left on my door, getting gifts left on my door. It was very, very scary. And sticking to my resolve of never talking to this individual again and making police reports, I was very, very lucky that I have an uncle who is a police officer. Otherwise, I do not think I would have had an end to this stalker situation the way that I did, and that is my privilege. I will be the first to acknowledge that this was a privilege that I had. So after this, moving on from this relationship, I was really faced with the ugly monster of my addictions, and this became probably the biggest, yes, Pickle is saying the absolute biggest thing for me to overcome in earning his respect and earning Pickle Chips as a dragon guardian that I work with every single day now. And that was, I had to choose to break my addictions myself. I had to choose to not pick up the vape anymore. I had to choose to not do lines of white powder anymore. I was the one who had to choose to not pop pills anymore. That had to come from my own free will. That had to come from my own desire. Otherwise, Pickle Chips just simply would not have cared, right? Like, I was the one who had to. I was the one, you know what I mean? I don't vape anymore. Drugs are very dangerous, right? But I come from a place where I'm an advocate for decriminalization on drug use. People are going to do drugs whether or not you want them to or not, right? So I think that they should be regulated and accessible, not through, like drug dealers, okay? Like, like it should be, it should just be kind of treated as like mental health. More than anything, because 9 times out of 10 people are going to be using drugs that are very hardcore drugs to cope with some very big mental issues, some very big, traumatic experiences, right? So we are almost 10 years sober from a lot of these drugs. So I'm very proud of myself because this was the hardest thing that I had to quit, right? And then after quitting the drugs, this was truly kind of what took me from, Pickle Chips saying, I don't know, to Pickle Chips saying, okay, I have faith in her. Let's keep going. Let's see if she keeps doing it, right? Because remember when I said that my dragon guardians told me, okay? Remember 10 years sober queen. Thank you guys. You guys are so sweet. Oh my goodness. But remember when I said that believing in God was something that my dragon guardian Monte always encouraged me to never lose faith in, because this was something I absolutely struggled with ever since I left the Mormon church. And that's because the Mormon church, the way that they teach about God, the way that they teach about, Allah, I should say, is very much a cult. It's very much a abusive system, and it very much hurts people, okay? And we can't ignore that, how the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints hurts people and hurt me, and I will never be silent about this, okay? Because I deserved love. I deserved my adults around me to take care of me and to answer the questions that I had instead of abusing me and hurting me, right? Because people, people in the church, in the Mormon church, in my experience, cared more about uplifting and upholding the image of the church than they ever cared about the children within the church, if that makes sense. So, I love this stuffed animal. This is Potat. Please leave a like for Potat. He is our channel mascot. Sorry, had to, sorry. Yes, my darling, my little chicken. My little chicken, okay. We love the little chicken. Sorry, I just got Potat sidetrack. The church is a major corporation as well worldwide. They make so much money. Yeah, let's not forget that. Also, one thing that I love about Islam is that it's considered a sin to make money from selling the Quran, selling anything about God. We love it. We love that because you should not be selling stuff. I'm new and some comments seem strange. Yes, Sarah, they're very bizarre. We don't know why. My content tends to attract the absolute religiously unwell people, but we don't know why. We're just a girl who follows her dragon singing songs along the way, and I also love God, and this makes people glitch, unfortunately. But you have to understand that, I'm always gonna be, one who is gonna be preaching the message of mercy, preaching the message of love, and preaching the message of compassion, because we all deserve that, and that's what all of us want, right? All of us want love and compassion and understanding within our lives, right? There's no need to other people based on, what they believe in. And that's actually, oddly enough, something else that my dragon guardian Pickle Chips required before he introduced himself to me consciously, was to start learning about Jesus Christ again. And I know this actually might really surprise a lot of you guys, but the teachings of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, were very, very, very pivotal in my understanding of, you know, the mercy of Allah when I was a little girl before I even knew what Islam was, right? Because like you guys have to understand that like where I grew up and in my life, my experience, like being raised as like a white American girl in a very Christian Mormon household, you have to understand that I was conditioned and raised to believe that people who were Muslim were devil worshippers practicing black magic. This is the way that we were socialized to believe, right? Like I was told that you guys are evil people, all right? This is just me being honest, right? Like I'm just going to be honest with you guys because that is all I can do. You know, all I can do is just show up as I am and just be who I am. Like that's why I live my life, right? I was very, very grateful that I survived everything that I did. I almost overdosed a few times and I almost lost my life. And I almost got into, you know, some altercations with some really violent people because of my drug associations back when I was on the streets for a while. And you guys have to understand that the only one who could have saved me from this truly was Allah Almighty. And this is why I will never, ever, ever relinquish my faith in God, and why I refer to God as Allah is because I'm Muslim now. But that, we're gonna get into that in just a second. But you see, the way that I navigated my world was the way that I only could before I knew anything about Islam, right? Before I knew anything about this, the religion of God, right? But I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself here. So another thing that I had to accomplish, if you will, basically the word I'm going to use is like obstacle, or I guess test that I had to overcome, was starting to learn about decolonization and starting to decolonize my practice, my mind, and start really unpacking how I had prejudices against people, really kind of understanding, okay, how was I socialized to be racist? How was I socialized to be misogynistic? How was I socialized to, you know, be homophobic, transphobic? These things really mattered to me. My name is Azura, by the way. But I had to really start reflecting, right? This was a huge thing that I had to do in order to earn this Dragon Guardian. I had to reflect upon myself. I had to reflect upon, how is Azura DragonFaether the problem? How have I been in the wrong? How have I been an asshole, right? This was truly the thing that was, I guess something that earned the most respect from my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips is because a lot of people don't really take the time to consider how they are part of the problem. And that is something that I really valued growing up, because I knew that a lot of the suffering I experienced, especially within the church and by the hands of many men, one too many men, unfortunately, the type of abuse that I faced, the type of assault that I faced, I realized that a lot of the reason why I was on the receiving end of this type of abuse is because these individuals refused to look in the mirror and address how they were part of the problem. These people refused to address how they were actual, literal abusers, pedophiles, and predators, right? So this is something that I realized, wow, we have a lot of issues in the world because people won't self-reflect. People won't literally take the time to sit in silence and deal with their own shit. They're making it everybody else's problem. Oh wait, people actually are assholes because they need therapy, I think. So this is something that also started, me like kind of into like a snowball of like, what the actual hell, like who the actual hell am I, right? Like I was like, I don't really know I don't know who I am. You know what I mean? I had no idea. I had no idea who I wanted to be. I just knew that I loved dragons, truly. And I just knew that I had to, you know, run from the abuse that I was getting by any means necessary, right? Also, what is it with Christians conflating being Muslim with being a terrorist? Honestly. I would love to know, because I just don't know. Thank you, Jerry Meek, for following. That's so sweet. Thank you for the follow, love. But I digress. Evil is not with religion. Evil is everywhere. It finds root in all groups of society. Red tie, drop in, facts. We appreciate it. We appreciate it. Best way to connect with Dragon Guardians. Yes, the best way to connect with Dragon Guardians is simply to have faith that they are even possibly there. And that is usually the biggest hurdle for many people, is that a lot of people don't believe that dragon guardians are real, or that how could dragons be real, or it might be really hard to have like, you know, faith that they are, right? So the whole entire point of this, like the belief in them, is ultimately finding a way that you believe in them, right? Because everybody, every practitioner, or anyone who really just works with dragons, you know, don't necessarily believe in them the same way. It's about the way that works best for you. And sometimes people don't believe dragons are real at all. They simply work with the symbolism of dragons, like the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, life, death, and rebirth. There's a lot of power in that symbolism. And, you know, like the symbolism of the Kundalini awakening, or the snake, the serpent, you know, going up the body's energy sources. Very powerful symbolism. Doesn't mean you have to believe that they're real, but some people do, and that's also valid, right? It's also in so many religions too, right? You'll see it all over the world, okay? Doesn't really matter. OMG, DragonFaether, do you like Paris Paloma's music, specifically Labor? Oh, I've been hearing a lot about her recently, but I don't really know who that is, so I'm definitely going to have to look into her, because I've heard she's very, very amazing. We consider snakes and serpents dragons here on the channel, because historically that is how they are identified. Best way to connect with dragons is to eat spicy food. No, I'm just kidding. This is so interesting, but I gotta sleep. Oh, Chloe, thank you for dropping in. Love you. I hope you sleep well. But anyway, bearded dragons are little lizards. They are a subcategory of dragons. We consider them a little subcategory of dragons. But that's kind of our perspective, you know what I mean? I recently adopted a bearded dragon and he's so cute. Oh, I'm so jealous. I would love. Okay, all right, moving forward. Another thing, okay guys, another thing, and probably one of the hardest things that I ever had to do in order to earn my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips was cut out all of the horrible people who I thought were my friends. I had to completely give my social circle a makeover, okay? Like, the boyfriends were trash, the best friends were trash, the colleagues were trash, the coworkers were trash, even the, like, snarky little, like, you know, friends of friends were trash. Like, everybody was trash, okay? And I had to decide, hey, you know, I don't really want to become the people I'm hanging out with. I was already super deep in the drugs, and like I was just like, ooh, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. What the fuck is a pickle chip? It's the name of my Dragon Guardian. It's just a nickname. Just some kitten with a gun. Oh my god, oh my gosh, I love your fucking username. Sometimes you gotta look inward. Oh, you're silly, but you do have to look inside of yourself, you know what I mean? Because it's really all that you have in this life, right? Like, all you ultimately have is you and yourself, and that is it. Do I eat a lot of Lay's pickle chips? Do you? I love Lay's pickle chips. But I digress. That was probably very hard, no? How did you manage the changes? Yes, it was very hard. I really only had my dragons to lean on. That was how I managed the changes, right? Like, I had no friends for a while except my dragons. And this is why, like, as, like, I'm someone who identifies as dragonkin, and I believe that I have the spirit of a dragon in a human body. Like, come for me in the comments if that, whatever. But this has been just a way that I relate to my reality and the way that I interpret my reality, which is valid. And the dragons, I've always said, are more like family and friends, rather than like gods that I worship. Does that make sense? Because like some people will literally, you know, consider, like, for example, like a goddess like Hecate, like, you know, like their actual like matron goddess, right, which is valid. But some people will even consider like dragon like deities like Tiamat, for example, like their mother, right, their mother, like the mother goddess, right? And to a certain extent I resonate with this, but the difference is that I don't view them as actual like gods, right? Like, I view them as personifications of the human experience, right? The reason why I subscribe to Islam is because I really truly resonate with source being one God. I've always resonated with monotheism. And I know that that might surprise a lot of people, especially as somebody who works with dragons and who works with other deities like Hecate or Aphrodite or Tiamat, for example, or like Lilith, to name just a few. These are simply archetypes that I view myself through, that I view humanity through, that is something that I don't worship, right? We don't bow down to Lilith. We don't bow down to Hecate or Tiamat. We bow down to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so that brings me to my ultimate final task, to unlock the pickle. And that was taking my shahada. I know. That might surprise people, but you have to understand that this was 110%. 110% my journey, right? This is what my pickle wanted for me, okay? This is my pickle chips. What is the shahada? To unlock the pickle. Sounds funny. So a shahada is how you become Muslim. La ilaha, basically, is kind of how it goes. And well, everybody's asking what it is. No, it's basically how you become Muslim. Let me go ahead and break it down for you. Let me go grab my shahada, not my shahada, my Quran, because I'll just go ahead and say it for you guys, for those of you guys who are unaware. So here is my Quran, my darlings, and I ended up taking my shahada in November of 2023 after seeing the faith of the Palestinians when they were being subjected to the genocide. I saw them losing everything and still professing faith in God, saying that God was all they had. Not even, what's the word? They literally didn't even renounce their faith. It made their faith stronger, and this compelled me to learn more. So here we have how you become a Muslim. All you have to say is Ashhadu Allah ilaha illa Allah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasul Allah. And all this means is I bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God, the final messenger of God. And this is my journey, right? Like, it's just something that works for me, right? And this is something that ultimately made Pickle Chips reveal himself. He was like, okay, you are ready. And I was like, what? Who are you? You know what I mean? How does your belief in Allah work with working with dragons? Really curious. Thank you. That is a great question. So I believe that Allah created all of the dragons and all of the religions and all of the false gods, if you will, because that's how some people will refer to them as. But I consider them just deities of the pantheons, just any kind of God that you think, right? Any sort of religion, any sort of spiritual faith, any sort of anything, right? Any practice was created for us to experience, to discover ourselves. It's all a test, right? So this life, in my eyes, is a test to see who you are when you have free will. Do you hurt people when you have free will? Do you call people sinners when you have free will? Do you want to learn about others? Do you uplift others even when you don't understand them? This is how my worldview has changed since becoming Muslim. And when I finally took my shahada, not long after, I encountered my dragon guardian, Pickle Chips. And Pickle Chips, the dragon that I work with, is a celestial dragon. Always been very adamant about being a celestial dragon. And now that I work with him, the first truly major thing that Pickle Chips wanted me to, do in my practice with him was study the Abrahamic religions. He was like, I understand there's some trauma there. I understand that there is, fear, especially around Christianity, right? But I was very much pushed right back into it. And the way that my dragon guardian Pickle Chips works is if I don't do basically what Pickle Chips wants me to do, for example, I created the Hatchling clan Discord server because, as an offering to Pickle Chips, because Pickle Chips said if I did not create this Discord server for the Hatchling clan, that they would leave me, right? They would abandon me, right? And the same thing goes for studying the Abrahamic religions. My dragon guardian Pickle Chips says, I will abandon you if you don't continue these studies, right? Pickle Chips says, I have to learn Arabic. Pickle Chips says, I have to memorize the Quran. Pickle Chips says, I have to cast my spells using Quranic verses, right? This is just my practice, okay? So here on the channel, we support everybody's practice. I think all faiths are beautiful. Why am I not allowed to think this? I'm not encouraging anyone to do what I do. I'm simply sharing my experience because people are going to do what they want whether or not you like it. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of the way it is, you know? Do you know what Pickle Chips look like? Does he have a comprehensive look or form? Yes. So let me jump into the Hatchling clan really quick, because yeah, that is a great question. If you are watching on my YouTube channel, the thumbnail that I have on my YouTube channel has like a picture of a dragon. That is kind of how I perceive Pickle Chips to look. I made it through an app called Dragon Builder. 10 out of 10 recommend that app. So much fun, so much fun. But let's see, here we go. So it should be in the general chat. I dropped it here. So yeah, let's just pop this open for you guys. This is kind of what he looks like. Can you see him? I know it's a little hard to see him. That's kind of what he looks like. But for a better picture, I'll definitely drop more pictures in the Hatchling clan if you're interested. Are you thinking of veiling, or what are your thoughts on it? Yes, I am on my hijabi journey. Eventually I would love to wear the burqa and niqab. I know that might seem really intense for people who don't understand, but it's simply because I am so tired of being perceived, especially by men. But it is a journey, and I'm here to share that journey with you guys. And sometimes I wear hijab, and I have worn hijab on the channel a little bit, like a little bit of a veil. But I am going to be creating more content about that journey, because I don't really know why a lot of people expect like revert women to just kind of like transform overnight into like, you know, hijabis, right? It's a journey, and like no one's perfect, and that's kind of the whole point. It's about doing our best, right? So it's about you know, our faith in Allah, and my journey with the hijab is between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's it. It's not about the men, it's not about anyone else but me and Allah, and that's it. So you're a Muslim and a witch at the same time? Yes, I am. A baby dragon told me that my soul is a dragon. I don't think they were supposed to tell me that. Galaxy Dragon Goddess, cheers! That is literally something that happened with my dragons too. I wasn't able to get that information out of them super quickly, right? Like it wasn't right away, but it's just kind of how it is. I'm Muslim and a witch too. Oh my gosh, alhamdulillah, bratty flatty. Oh my god, you have no idea. I literally just like cry when I meet people like that. Hold on, why is my fiance texting me on that? No, I'm streaming. Hello, I'm streaming. Please don't text the other phone. But anyway, that's literally the story of how I earned my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips. You know what I mean? All I was gonna say, Bratty Flatty, that's amazing. Like, you are literally so welcome and supported on this channel. And I just want to let everybody know that the more that I literally, like, you know, learn about Islam, the more that I talk to the imam at the local masjid, the more that I study, because I take a Quran class every Sunday. Like, I go see scholars and they teach me about the Quran, they teach me Arabic, like I have questions, right? So, and they literally answer them for me, because that is what is encouraged in Islam. I love this. This is something that there's a lot of Muslims or witches, believe me. Bratty Flatty, thank you. I feel insane out here on my channel sometimes, you know, talking about being a Muslim witch. I feel like I'm like literally the only one, but I really appreciate it when there's so many of you guys for coming forward and sharing that, like, your guys who are Muslim who practice witchcraft too, so I don't feel so alone. And I'm starting to realize that Pickle Chips, which is my Dragon Guardian I'm talking about today, literally told me to start talking about it, you know, start talking about how I am a Muslim witch and own that, because like he says it's very important. And I'm starting to realize why there's so many of you guys out there, and you guys deserve to feel safe and supported and loved too, because like Allah loves all of his creations, okay? Like, you guys have to understand the only time you earn God's wrath is when you do when you do evil deeds and spread corruption in the land. That's why doing good deeds is the whole point of the religion, right? Do you hear his voice? How does Pickle talk to you? See, Pickle Chips talks to me. I can't do his voice. He's just like this deep grumble, I guess. He sounds like a grumpy old man. How's that? That's basically that. Be careful from those who called Shike, they understand the Quran in the wrong way. Thank you, I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. A Muslim witch is a witch who practices witchcraft in full submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So basically my witchcraft follows the Quran. So like there's certain types of magic that I do not cast anymore. Like I don't curse or hex people anymore, though I don't like judge people who do, right? Like this was a part of my journey, right? It's just something that I don't do anymore. I don't raise my wand and point it at others anymore, right? I only raise my wand to heal myself. This is how my magic has changed since becoming Muslim, right? So before, when I was abused, right, I would resort to magic to try and get my power back, which is very common actually. Traditionally, that's usually how witchcraft was created and practiced, was by oppressed people trying to get their power back. So this is just a part of my journey, right? And now I use it as a way to regulate my nervous system, which is totally valid. And I don't know, I just think that it's really important to remember, right? Hold on, I have to go to dinner in like, I think 20 minutes, so let's see. Sorry guys. We have some clients in town and they really wanted to take me out to dinner, but I haven't been feeling the best. So before I go, I just wanted to kind of share one last thing. My journey, really taking it seriously, of regulating my nervous system after all of the abuse that I suffered, is something that also made Pickle Chips reveal himself to me, because Pickle Chips realized that I was committed to healing myself to heal the world around me. And this is something that the dragons taught me. The dragons would always tell me, heal thyself to heal thy world. Because when I heal myself and I heal the parts that lash out at other people, when I do my best to be a better human being, when I do my best to share compassion, to share love and mercy and acceptance with people, that is actually going to have a rippling effect all around me. And, you know, with me like picking up the Quran and learning about Islam from seeing the suffering of the Palestinian people, I realized that Allah really is the best of planners. Because when I started learning about Islam, my fiance, who was at the time my boyfriend, started seeing me learn about it, and he was born Muslim, and he kind of like left the religion when he was young, but he never left his faith in God, right? He never abandoned his faith in Allah. And he was the first one to really introduce me to the concept that God is love, right? That really healed me, meeting my fiance, because when we first got together, which was in 2019, we were already friends for 7 years. We'd been friends since like 2012. Like literally since I had my YouTube channel, we've been friends. And it was long distance because he was born in Canada, in Toronto, like Quebec, and lived in Toronto, and I was born in Colorado but lived in LA my whole life for the most part. And when he started seeing me learn about the Quran and like reading the English Quran, he was very confused because he had never read an English version in his entire life, what really surprised me. And I realized that this is actually more common than you'd realize. Most of the people who are born Muslim might have never even touched an English Quran in their life, and that actually shocks me. So this is just my journey, you know what I mean? And when my fiance saw me learning about Islam and really getting into it and really resonating with it, that caused him to start learning too. And now we read the Quran together. Now he helps me learn how to pray in Arabic. And whenever he struggles with his, you know, hellfire trauma, because he's had a lot of it growing up, I'm always there to remind him that, you know, Allah would never punish him for just trying to do his best. And that goes for you guys too. Like, a loving, merciful God would never punish you guys just for doing your best in this life. It's hard. And remember that only Allah can judge. And ultimately, Pickle Chips wants to have me be less squishy, in the sense that, like, he doesn't want me to be afraid anymore. Pickle Chips, the ultimate dragon trial I'm under, and I will be under for the rest of my life with Pickle Chips, is to show up as I am and to not be afraid to be my geeky, cheeky, and freaky self, to not be afraid to provide a space for other people to be their geeky, cheeky, and freaky self, for people to feel seen, for people to feel heard and supported, and for people to feel like they have a place to be themselves. So there's that. You know, and I really just think that that's kind of the message. And that's it, you know? So that's where I'm coming from. And also, I just feel like anyone who sends me hate for what I believe, and sends me hate for being who I am, and sends me hate for showing up and preaching acceptance of all people's walks of life, no matter who they are, I think y'all are goofy. I think y'all, you know, need some help. And it's just so it's giving shaitan, you know, when you send hateful energy. So I just need people to understand. Yes, that's right. Yes, exactly. I know very little about Islam, but the way you talk about how Allah is love makes me want to learn. Oh, for castles and coffee, that means the absolute world to me. Let me tell you guys something. Something about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believing in one God that is almighty, all-knowing, all-wise, the most merciful, the best judge of all judges, like, healed me. It made me find refuge from a world that has done its best to tear me down. And I can't cry because I got makeup on. But you guys have to understand that it is a religion of peace and love for those to seek refuge from the hellfire. And the only hellfire that I've seen and experienced is the hate and the violence and the absolute wrath from humans who think they are righteous, who think they own the world, who think that they are gods. That's literally it. That's where I've seen hell on earth, and I see heaven on earth when I see people learning about each other and holding space for each other and greeting each other with peace and greeting each other with love and compassion. And that is literally it. My tip for learning about Islam, if you want to learn more, is literally picking up an English version of the Quran. It should be free, okay? You can find on any of my YouTube videos that are about reading the Quran, you can go into the description box and there is a link to read them for free. I have a free link to this particular version of the Quran if you are interested in learning a little bit more, because I didn't really understand Islam until I read the Quran. The reason why I love the Quran is because it is called the clear Quran. Okay, and it's because it's very easy to comprehend. I had no more questions, okay, and the questions that I did have, I was able to go to my elders and they were able to answer for me. So it's very, very straightforward, and I really appreciated that. So, you know, that's the story, my loves. And all I can say is that earning a Dragon Guardian is different for everybody, and it always starts with doing your best. It always starts with overcoming the things that you wish to ignore about yourself. And I wished to ignore my addictions. I wished to ignore the abusive people around me. I wished to ignore how I had racist beliefs, how I had misogyny internalized. I couldn't fathom how I actually had like been conditioned with homophobic beliefs and transphobic beliefs, and I had to really sit with that, and I had to really be like, where did this come from, and why is it so taboo for me to even unpack this, right? So this is kind of where the journey for me started, and all of these things really compiled over time into, you know, finally earning my Dragon Guardian Pickle Chips. And I literally don't even understand like how beautiful this life is now because of the beliefs that I have and the journey that I have. And all I can do is share my journey and share my experience and remind you guys to be a little bit kinder to each other, because that is all that matters, okay? When you almost die so many times, when you almost lose everything, when you are running for your life from people who want to kill you, you realize how all we have is each other, okay? You realize how nothing else matters but love. Nothing else matters but friendship. Nothing else matters but family, okay? I'm not talking about anything other than love that helps you and heals you, right? Because love that is considered bad love, we don't consider that love, right? That is just not, you know what I mean? So if my message irritates you, I really encourage you to unpack that for yourself, because it has nothing to do with me and everything to do with you. Everything I do in my life is my responsibility. My witchcraft, my responsibility. My Islam, my responsibility. My prayer, my responsibility. My discipline, my responsibility. You know, it is something that I have to focus on. I have to be better for my Lord. I'm trying to be better than I was yesterday to please my Lord. And some people don't understand that, and that's okay. But you have to understand that I will never weaponize my Lord against you. I will never weaponize whatever any book says against you. You don't deserve that kind of hate. Like, it doesn't hurt anyone, okay? It doesn't hurt anyone to believe what you want to believe, and keep it for yourself, because ultimately that's why we have religion. Ultimately that's why we have, you know, spirituality. Ultimately that's why we have faith, right? It's for us and us alone, okay? And that's why every human's heart and every human's practice, even if they identify as Muslim or a witch or Christian or atheist or whatever you have it, everybody's gonna practice a little bit differently, okay? And everybody's gonna be a little bit different in the way that they believe, and that is what makes us human, okay? That is the beauty of humanity, and all glory to God for creating us with such a spectrum of beauty, because if we were all one people, Allah could have made us that way. God could have made us all one people of one faith, one belief, right? But guess what? We have a natural inkling to differ amongst ourselves. It's just human nature. And one thing that I loved about the Quran is that when I learned about the story of Adam and Eve, it was the original sin, right? You know how in the Bible it says that it was Eve who ate of the tree of knowledge, right? And then she was the one who cast her and Adam out, and she would be punished through childbirth and periods and to be subjugated to her husband for committing the original sin. That doesn't exist in the Quran. The Quran says that it was both Adam and Eve who ate of the tree of knowledge, and it is literally a metaphor for how humanity and all types of humans, every human being, it is in our nature to make mistakes, but it also illustrates how it is in God's nature to forgive us. So I hope you guys enjoyed this stream talking about the pickle, okay? I can't wait to share more with you guys very soon. I do have to get out of here. We are going to, we'll just come in for like a second, okay. So they're gonna be here pretty soon, so I have to get out of here to go to dinner. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I could just be talking to the void, but because you guys chose to tune in, I was able to have a beautiful conversation with you guys, and I really appreciate all of your guys' engagement, whether it be positive, negative, or neutral. You know, I love all of it. You guys are so amazing, whether or not you believe it, you know, and especially those of you guys who have anger in your hearts. I'm really wishing you guys the best, and I hope you know that you're always welcome here if you want to correct your attitude a little bit, okay? So with that being said, have a wonderful, beautiful day, but until next time, stay geeky, cheeky, and freaky, little hatchlings! Don't forget to join the Hatchling Clan Discord server if you'd love to hang out with us. First link in the description here on YouTube, and it's here on the link tree over on TikTok. But I'll see you guys very soon. Bye!